Hello, ladies. I am Shakina Brantley, and I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am the owner and the founder of Three Chord Counseling, and I'm also the owner and founder of Saving Sarah. And Three Chord Counseling is my private practice where I counsel using clinical skills, but also a faith based foundation when I counsel couples. And I counsel couples that are married, that are struggling, that are dating, that are engaged, premarital. So I do a little bit of everything in that realm where it involves counseling couples. I also counsel couples that are kind of going through divorce, but they just want to do that amicably and make sure that their family is still taken care of. I also have a baby that is called Saving Sarah, which is a advocacy company, and I also provide counseling there, and I also provide so many other things and coaching for women that are going through infertility and are doing that journey. And it reminds us about Sarah in the biblical sense with Abraham, who waited on God to provide her with a child. So those are two of my babies. I am a licensed clinical social worker as well, and I counsel veterans. I am a wife to an amazing husband. We have been together since 2001. We have three beautiful children, and we also do marriage and ministry together. We are marriage leaders at our church. I'm also an ordained minister, and he is an ordained deacon. And our job is to not just do life together, but to minister the word of God together as well. But today, I'm coming to you, Queens, to talk about something related to caring for ourselves. And now we've all heard so much talk about self care lately and how we can do something that's most beneficial to us and how we are supposed to take care of ourselves before we can take care of anyone else, right? We can't pour from an empty vessel, that we can't do all those things to do unless we take those times and take time to pour into ourselves. So self-care has become so much more prevalent and so much more talked about. But it made me think about the reason why we're talking about self-care is more is because we're doing so much more. Like if you think about it, our grandparents didn't think about self-care. It wasn't a day that they took for themselves, even though they probably should have. But now, because not to say that they did so much less than we are doing now, but we do have so much more now with the advancements in technology and the requirements of now some of us are having to work two jobs and three jobs just to maintain and to make sure that we are providing for our families. So I'm just looking at notes to make sure I stay on course. So self-care has become so much more prominent now because of all the things that are taking our attention from us. And a lot of us are starting businesses and doing entrepreneurship, and a lot of us are very active in church, and a lot of us are very active parents and sisters and aunts, and we just have so many roles and so many titles that it becomes such a small window for us to care for ourselves, right? And self-care is so greatly important, but I want us to get to know what we're going to talk about more today. And what I'm going to talk about in my time is that self-care is so much more than getting manicures and getting our nails done and even massages. Those are great things. But self-care is so much more than that. Those are very surface things, which do serve a great purpose, because when you look good, you do feel good. However, it's only feel good, making you feel good temporarily. And what I want to talk about is self-care on the inside, and doing things like this where you're listening to other queens and other sisters pouring into you and giving advice and listening to their testimonies. And that's building your inner woman, and it's building your spirit man, and it's building you to have a stronger sense of who you are, and remind you that we are important as queens and we have to take that time for ourselves. So self-care is more than just a day. It's more than just a moment. Self-care is a lifestyle that you have to exude. Like this is something that we have to be intentional about, and making sure that we take that time for ourselves, doing stuff just like this, listening to someone like myself, or listening to anyone that wants to pour into you. So today, sisters, I am going to pour into you, and I'm going to deliver a message and what I go on speak about in other churches and other arenas and other conferences. And my title is called Cast Your Cape. And I started this title because becoming Superwoman was something that we were talking a lot about, and we were wearing it as a badge of honor and a crown on our head, that we were identifying ourselves as Superwomen. That saying, yes, we can do all, that we can be all, and we are everything to everyone, and sometimes simultaneously. And that is a skill of women. Like, we can multitask amazingly well, but it also comes at a price. All of those times where we are multitasking, it is taking things away from us, it's taking energy away from us. So our sister Alicia Keys gave us a complete Superwoman anthem, right? We had this song that empowered us, that made us want to put our capes on and save the world and go out into the world. And it did its purpose, because it did give some women that needed motivation at a time where their motivation was low, right? Or they didn't have the energy, right, to go out and to do to seek another job or go to work when, they felt like they were boggled down that day. So it did its purpose. But casting your cape is what we're going to talk about. Being Superwoman is great until it comes at a price, until your mental stability starts to pay that price, until your energy starts to pay that price, your health starts to pay that price. It's good until it comes at a price. And even if you look at the comic book, right? The comic book hero of Superwoman. Superwoman has a superpower. She has super strength, right? She can fly. She can do all of these amazing things. But if you actually studied that character, anytime Superwoman went to save someone or deliver someone or go to help someone, every time she used her power, she lost some of her power. So it depleted her of her energy source every time she saved someone. And even she had to go back into a place where now she was taking care of herself, where now she had to make sure that she recharged herself so that she could continue to be that Superwoman. So Superwoman is actually a schema. It's actually a syndrome, which is prevalent among women. And it is trying to do everything in excellence. And even the description of it doesn't sound bad. Right? Who doesn't want to do things in excellence? Who doesn't want to do everything in such an excellent way? And when you do something or you try something, of course you want to be excellent. No one goes to do something and do it halfway or do it mediocre. We always want it to be our best and give our best and do it with such a level of grace and with such a level of excellence. Again, it's only a problem when it starts to cause issues in our harmony and in the balance of our lives. So we can't be everything to everyone. So the cons of the Superwoman syndrome is that we begin to stretch ourselves. Sometimes we stretch ourselves too far, right? Sometimes it's forgetting who we are, and it's forgetting us. It's forgetting our essence of who we are. But Superwoman syndrome served a purpose, because as women, a lot of times we had to step in and take on roles that we weren't destined to do, we weren't called to do, we weren't designed to do. But because we are women, and because we know how to step in and fill in the gaps, and we know how to step up and do the things that we need to do and the things that just have to get done because someone has to do it. And in a time where some of our men that were in our lives were taken away by either the law, by either the judicial system, and they were in prison, or even in slavery when the men were taken away from the home, right? It left a void in the household. And Superwoman syndrome is so prevalent in the African-American women and the African-American community because a lot of our men are the ones that are incarcerated, that were enslaved. And what happens is when you take the husband out of the home, or you take our brother or our father out of the home, it leaves a void, it leaves a gap. So what is left? The woman. And us being such versatile, us being such versatile people and such strong women, we step in and we do what we know how to do, and that's to keep our family together, that's to keep our home together, that's to keep our finances together. We do everything that is necessary when it's necessary. So Superwoman syndrome isn't something that we kind of gradually went in. It was just the cards that we were dealt, and us being such flexible creatures, we just stepped in and we did what we had to do, right? Doesn't that sound familiar? Just like even now you can kind of think of certain areas where you just stepped in, even on your work, when someone isn't there, right? Or a coworker calls out, or someone that you're supervising calls out, or is no longer there, or has left the job or left the employment. What do? We fill in where it's needed, because we are designed to be helpmates. That is what we were created to be. We were designed to fill in the gaps and to help. And sometimes that is detrimental, because we can help too much and then neglect ourselves. And then how much are we helping? How much are we doing? And the pros are mostly for the people that we're helping, right? It feels good to help others. There's nothing wrong with helping out people. It's nothing wrong with being there for someone. It's nothing wrong with supporting on someone and loving someone and stepping in where you need to. There's nothing wrong with helping. But it does come at a price when it starts to hurt who we are. And then how much can we help? If we begin to hurt ourselves and we begin to take away from who we are, then we're not helping anyone at all. It might give you a short-term fix, but then you have a long-term consequence. And the importance of women, queens, my sisters, we are so important. It's so important to take care of us. We have to take care of us. It's so important for us to take that time out to make sure that we're paying attention, that we're listening to our bodies, that those little aches and pains that we have to pay attention. Those times when we become more fatigued, we have to pay attention. Those times when it's harder for us to get out of the bed, we have to pay attention to those things. Those things are our bodies calling out for help and for attention. So we have to take care of us because we are the heartbeat of our families. We are, just think about that little muscle that beats in your chest. This little muscle that is really no bigger than your fist, right? It's very small, it's delicate, it's fragile, but it's so powerful. And this one little muscle pumps life into so many different areas of our body, so many different organs of our body, so many different vessels, veins, arteries, ligaments, so many things from just this little muscle. That's how important we are. We may be small, we may be dainty, we may be delicate, or people looked at us as delicate. But we are so powerful because everything that is connected to us, we give life to. And not just us carrying life, which is such a blessing, that not only do we carry life, but we sustain life. Us as women, we are the sustainers of our family. We give love when we need to give love. We nurture when we need to nurture. We rebuke when we need to rebuke. We correct and discipline when we need to correct. And we do it in such a genuinely and loving way, in a finessing way, that no other gender or sex could do what we can do. That's important to us. Now, men are very important. Men are vital or crucial. I don't want to take anything away from what men can do because they are vital. They are the head. They are the brains. You know, the brain is important too. That signals and sends a little electrical signals to our body that tells our right hand to move and our left hand to move and our right leg to walk. And it gives a lot of signals and it directs things in our body. So it's very important. Men serve a great purpose and sometimes they don't get as much credit as they should. However, if we just think about the body, right? And just this plain sense of the word, if we think about the body, the brain, when the brain dies, the body can still live. Right? You ever heard of that term brain dead? That means that, yes, the body is not sending the electric signals that it used to tell our limbs to move and our eyes to blink and our feet to move and walk and all of those things. But the body can still live even though the brain is dead. There's a machine that they can put you up to that can do what the brain can do, and it's sending signals to the body. And you technically are still alive because you're still breathing, right? You can still be functioning. The body can still live even though the brain is dead, hence the term brain dead. However, women as the heart, there is no such thing as heart dead. Once we stop beating, once this heart stops beating, that's it. There is nothing, now technology is trying to advance to come up with something that is similar to what we can do. But at this time, while science is trying to catch up with what nature has already created and what God has already implemented, women, we are the heartbeat. So that means once we stop, everything that is connected to us that we are called to sustain dies. So that means if we are not taking care of ourselves, if we are not taking care of all the things that is going on with us, the heart, those things that we desire to help and that we're designed to help, if anything happens to us and we die, all of those things that we are connected to also cease. Right? Because we stop taking care of ourselves. That is how important we are. That is how vital we are. We are so many things to so many people because we as the heart, we have our family connected to us. We have church connected to us. We have work. We have our mothers, our siblings, our cousins, our grandparents. We have so many things that are connected to us and that rely on us to be in the best that we can be. And we do them no justice, and we don't take care of ourselves, and we avoid taking care of ourselves, and we avoid those little signals and that little voice that says, stop, you need to rest. Don't pick up another assignment. Don't take on an extra role. Don't take on another dish or meal, or that just says rest in that moment and pause. So when we don't take care of ourselves, all of those things that rely on us won't function at their best capacity either, because we're not functioning at ours. So we have to learn to cast our cape. All right? So now this sounds really great, right? You're saying, Shakina, that sounds amazing. Casting our cape. And it's one thing for me to tell you about something. It's one thing for me to speak on something and empower you to do something, but I also am a teacher that would like to give you the tools needed to do such a thing. I don't ever want to speak on something, one, that I haven't been through or experienced myself, and two, that I don't want to give anyone the tools and the equipment to practice what I'm advising. So now that I've spoken to you about the importance of casting your cape, I'm going to show you how to do that, right? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, and I want you guys to take notes, because it's proven that when we write things down, we're easy to retain them and remember them. So it's easy for us to listen to messages such as this, and sometimes we can put in our ear pods and put in our headsets, and we're washing dishes, or we're tending to kids, or we're driving, or we're working out, and we have things like this and messages like mine that just play in our background. But I want you to be intentional about what I'm going to tell you and how I'm going to tell you to cast your cape. So I need you guys to get a pen and paper, jot this message down, because I need you to retain it. Because this is going to be key to our vitality. It's going to be key to our longevity, and it's going to be key to our sanity. This is part of mental health. This, what I'm going to give you, is true self-care. So the first C, and the tool that you're going to know, or that you're going to need to know of how to cast your cape, is confess. And I say confess because casting your cape can be hard if you don't confess that there's something to cast. So a lot of us don't confess when something's wrong. We put on this cape and we go out and we go into the world, or we put on a mask and our costume and we go out into the world. But we have so much that's going on the inside of us that no one gets to see, and no one gets to hear about, or no one gets to face. And sometimes we hide those things so well that we hide them from ourselves. So it's hard to confess something if you don't face it. So I need you guys to confess right now all of those things that you need to cast, all of those things that you need to let go, right? That's part of casting your cape. And we get so good at saying when we're okay when we're not okay, right? If someone was just to ask you right now and they say, hey, how are you? You say, I'm good. It's just a reflex. You say, I'm good. I'm blessed. Right? They say, hey, do you need any help? No, I got it. No, I'm okay. So not only do we dismiss the help with our no, but then we lie and say, I'm good and I'm okay. And most of the time we're not. Right? So you have to confess that you're not okay. Part of casting your cape is saying when we are not okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to say, yes, I need help. It's okay to say, yes, take it. It's too much for me. Take it. It's too heavy. I can't carry it anymore. I've been carrying it for so long. I need help. It is okay to say that we are not okay. But part of that is confessing. We can't call things out unless we confess them. The first thing that you do, even when you come to Christ and you are a believer, the first thing that God asks you to do is confess with your mouth. You have to confess that thing that you know is up here and is in here out of your mouth. So think of it as just being bottled up in your head, bottled up in your heart, bottled up in your spirit, in your mouth. Freeze it outside of your body, right? That's its exit point. So if you don't confess that thing, it stays in. It stays inside, and we hold on to it. Confession frees you and it lets it go. It's like an exhale. And even if you verbally can't form the words, then you can write it out. There's other ways to confess. Confession doesn't have to be verbal. It doesn't have to be an audible thing. It could be something that you just do internally and say to yourself. It could be something that you journal out and you just write it out just to get it out and allow your body to exhale and release it, because it's been held onto for so long and so tight that we've gotten accustomed to it. And we don't really see and realize how tight we hold something until we let it go. Confession is letting it go. People can't offer us help if we don't confess it. So the first C is confession. The second C to casting your cape is ceasing. And that means stop. That means stop saying that you're okay. That means stop saying that you got this. That means stop shutting out help. Stop avoiding help. Stop putting yourself last. Just stop. Just stop. Even right now, if you are listening to this and you're doing something else, stop. Because I need you to get this. I need you to stop doing what you're doing if it's detrimental to your health, your sanity, and your well-being. Stop putting yourself last. And every time someone asks you if you need help, anytime somebody offers it, or anytime you dismiss it, you're putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole. You are ignoring your own feelings. You are ignoring your own hurt. You are ignoring your own cry for help. And sometimes we can have the world be so loud that we can't even hear our own cries, right? If you think about, if you were in your home and you just heard sirens outside and firemen and policemen and a crash and a loud boom, all of those things can be so loud that you can't even hear the things that are going on in your own home. And sometimes that's how life can be. Like sometimes we have things that are going on externally that we can't hear our internal cries. So I need you just to stop, cease just for a moment. Be at one with your own thoughts, be at one with your own feelings, and listen to your own cries. Confess them, right? So casting our cape, we have confessing that you have a problem, confessing that you need time, confessing the times that you've missed the mark on opportunities to take care of you, and then stop and realize that. Stop saying no, that I'm okay. Stop saying, no, I got it. I don't need this. I don't need you. Everyone needs someone. Stop trying to do everything by ourselves. Stop trying to do everything on your own. If you think about it, God made people in pairs. God could have left Adam all by himself, right? But he decided to make an helpmate. And even if the partner isn't a romantic helpmate, he still designed us to have company, to have companionship. And sometimes companionship is just friendship. It's just a friend that you can confide in, even if you have one friend that you can confide in. Have that person do life with you. You don't have to do life alone. So our first C is confess that we have a problem, confess that there is something there. There is something that we need to work on, right? And then the second part is all of these things. I think sometimes we feel it's a sign of weakness. And sometimes we've been raised and bred to believe that if we ask for help, it's showing a sign of weakness, that we can't do it on our own. And that's not it at all. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is not a sign of that you can't do it on your own. Do you know how much strength it takes to say that you need help? It takes an extremely strong person internally to know when they need help and to ask for help. It takes strength to ask for help. So it's not a sign of any weakness. It's not a sign that you can't do it. It's a decision that says, I'm choosing not to do this by myself. I am choosing not to kill myself to do it on my own. I am choosing to put myself first. I am choosing to care for myself. I am making the intentional choice to check in with myself and make sure I am okay because I have so many people depending on me. Right? It's not a sign of weakness. And I think that is something that we kind of have to change the culture about seeking help. That it's not a sign of us being weak, because honey is anything but showing a sign of weakness. God doesn't need us to be superwomen. God is God all by himself. He is super all by himself. There is nothing that we do that is going to add to the character of God. There's nothing that we do that is going to add to the greatness and the all cumbersome and all knowing God. He's never asked us to be superwomen. So why do we feel the need to take on the cape and save the world all by ourselves? Us not asking for help and us trying to do things on our own is saying that we don't need God in certain areas, right? If you're saying that you can do this all on your own, that, I can cure my own depression, I can cure my own anxiety, I can cure my own mental instability, I can pour into my own cup, it's impossible. No one and nothing can pour into their own cup. It's basically saying when you dismiss help, it's like you're dismissing God. And if you're saying that I am superwoman and I can do all and be all, then it's saying that the sacrifice of Christ was not needed because we can do it all on our own, right? And we can't. We can't do anything without God. We can't do anything without him. So there is nothing, and I need you to get this, there is nothing wrong. There is no sign of weakness by asking for help. You exude so much strength to say, okay, I am at my limit, I'm at my max, and I'm not going to push myself any further, and I'm going to receive the help that I am getting. Or if there isn't anyone that's asking or offering help, that's okay too. Because not all of us are going to have people that are willing to take things from you and offer help. But you can still put things down until you are ready to pick them back up again. It's okay to pause and cease for a moment until you gather your bearings. It's okay to put the load down. Take the load off of your shoulders, right? Take that weight off of your shoulders. Put it down and rest. That's okay too. No one has put you in this race. We put ourselves in these races and these triathlons and marathons, and then we time ourselves and we give ourselves all of these hurdles and we have to beat certain records that God didn't put us in. God didn't put us in this race. He didn't put us in a time frame. Sometimes we make these things all on our own. And he has never once said that he required any of that from us. Right? So some of these things we put ourselves in. So it's okay to cease for the moment and rest. Gather yourself. Get your bearings so that you can continue on your race and you continue on your journey. If you think of even a marathon, if you think about races, they still have to pace themselves. No one is going full speed ahead depending on how long the race is. You have to pace yourself. There's a consistent pace that you go to. And then when you get to the finish line, you can see them go into an extra gear. So right now, pace yourself. Cease and take a breath. Take a moment. Gather your bearings so that you can finish your race. So cast your cape. God is waiting for you to cast your cape because he didn't ask you to be superwoman. He's just waiting for you to put down put down your cape so that he can be your cape. He can be your all in all. He can be your refuge. He can be your rock. He can be your strong tower. Everything that cape is supposed to represent, he is already. So cast your cape. Now, The next C is connect and charge. Now this is two parts, so it's two C's. You have confess, you have cease, and now we're getting to connect and charge. So the key to this part is the charging. Because a lot of us are connected to a bunch of stuff that is not charging us up. And it's actually sucking away more energy, and it's actually depleting you of all of your energy more than it is charging you back up. So be careful and be mindful of the things that you're connected to, because not everything is deserving of your power. Not everything is deserving to be connected to you. So right now, you're probably connected to more things that use your energy than it pours back into you, and that it's taking away more energy than it's charging you. So right on this point, you have to connect to a support system, right? You have to connect to someone, something, or some people that allow you just to be you, that allow you to let your hair down, that allowed you to take off capes and costumes and just be you. And while you are being you, they are pouring back into you. They are recharging you to get back into this journey, right? You have to make sure that you are connected to certain people. So if you go through your phone right now and you're seeing more messages that are asking for help than are encouraging you and checking in on you and saying, how was your day? How are you? What are you needing from me? Then you might need to go through your phone book and go through some of your contacts and maybe put some people on a back burner for a while you recharge, right? You might want to readjust your contact list and see how many people are pulling from you and how many people are pouring into you. Connect to someone that is going to help you. Connect to someone that is going to support you. And on those days when you're running low, they can see it and they can know when to pour into you. Right? Connect to someone that is going to step in and fight with you. Connect to someone that's going to fight for you on the days when you can't do it, that they can now plug in and charge and be that for you. Step in to the ring with you, right? On those days when you can't have the energy and you don't have enough charge to fight those fights, that they get in the ring with you and they fight. Or even if you don't have it, that you have an intercessor that will step in for you and will allow you to sit in the corner while you rest and recharge. And I'm going to intercede on your behalf. And I'm going to step in a true friend and a true support system and be a true intercessor. So make sure that you are connected to at least a group, if not a group, even one or two people. Sometimes groups might be too much for some people. So maybe you just need that one or two people that you can go to and you can be yourself with, that you can let your hair down. And not only will they fight with you, but on the days when you don't have anything left in you, they are now going to be intercessors and fight for you. They're going to allow you that time to step in behind them to rest, and that they can step in and fight. Someone that you can truly take your cape off with. Take your cape and show the wounds that you have gotten in all of those battles that you faced trying to be Superwoman. All of those battles that you tried to overcome trying to be Superwoman. All those hurdles and leaps and bounds and mountains and skyscrapers that you soared over and flew over and dodged, that you can put your cape down and show her your wounds. And she won't be a sister that will talk about you. She won't be a sister that will talk down to you, but she will be a sister that will allow you just to be you and let your cape. And not only will she look at the wounds, but she'll help nurse them. So make sure that you are connecting and charging to the appropriate source. Then connect to Christ. Now that we've said connect to a support system, connect to a person, connect to a counselor or a friend, the ultimate connection is Christ. Christ is our best fuel. He is our best recharge. He is our best spare battery. He is our best outlet. He is our source of all sources. And sometimes you just need to connect to him. Sometimes there might not be anyone around when you need them, right? It might not be someone that is able to step in the ring with you, because maybe everybody around you is having their own battles, right? And there'll be times where it seems like it's a season where everybody's just in battle as well, right? Everyone is doing their own struggle and everyone is doing their own battle. So someone might not be even available to step in the ring with you. But my God, he is there already and waiting for you to come. He has already written out of scripture that he will fight your battles. And that's what that means. In those times where you need to step out of the ring and you say, I can't do it anymore, and I just need you to step in. He is already willing and able. He has already won. The victory is already there. You are just walking it out. And he is right there to say, I'm going to step in the ring for you. Right? His yoke, his burden is lighter. So trade your yoke for his. Connecting to him, staying into scripture, staying in charge, being able to be with a group of believers, finding a church home, finding fellowship. All of those things are ways to charge to him. Speaking, devoting, praising, prayer, worship. All of those are ways that you can connect to him and to charge to him. So God is just waiting for you to just say, I can't. He is waiting for you to confess that you can't do it anymore. He's waiting for you to cease and stop trying to do everything. He's waiting for you to connect and to charge into him so that he can say, I was already here. He has never left. Sometimes we get so far away from him and we get so distracted by other things and all of those external noises that we can't hear our own spirit man crying out to say, connect me back to my source. He has never left. He's waiting for you to cast your cape in all of those bullet points that we just mentioned. He's waiting for you to say and confess that, God, I believe that you are my Lord and Savior. I'm saying that I can't do life on its own. I can't do this thing called life without you. He's waiting for you to just stop doing all of those things and changing lifestyles and changing priorities and putting him at the top of that priority list. He's waiting for you to connect to him. He has never left. He has never moved. He has never wavered. He has been there the entire time. It is us who move further and further away from him. So just like the prodigal son, we are the prodigal daughters. We need to come back, connect, and charge. And I know I'm so very guilty of doing those things and putting other things in priority, and that all of those things that we do in the family and helping, and sometimes even helping others, can push us further and further and further away from Christ. So again, help. It's very easy to go from helping to neglecting. So we have to be very careful. So ladies, I just want you to get from this that putting on that cape, although it sounds so great to say, although it sounds so powerful and so empowering to say that you are Superwomen, you're not Superwoman because of anything that we do or anything that you do. It's because we are connected to a super God. That is our superpower, right? That is our superpower. That's what makes us Superwomen or even Wonder Woman, right? Because when we are connected to God, we are truly going to be Wonder Woman and Superwoman, and we're going to have these superpowers. And people are going to call us Wonder Woman because they're going to wonder why we still smile when we are facing turmoil, when we still have joy and we still praise the God, even though our life may be upside down, our finances be upside down, our marriage may be upside down, our children may be contrary. It is going to be a wonder, and people are going to wonder how we have still kept a smile on our face, joy in our heart, and our sanity intact. And that's only because we have chosen to confess, we've chosen to cease, we've chosen to connect, and we've chosen to charge to our supernatural God. That's what makes us Superwoman. It's not by anything that we do in our own power and in our own strength. So in this moment, I pray for every sister. I pray for every queen. I pray for even any princess that is upcoming to step into her rightful place as queen as well. That we show them how to do it all in balance and how we do it all in proportion. And we don't teeter the scales, and that it comes at a cost to our own sanity, our own well-being, and our own health. We have to make sure that we are taking care of us for our daughters, for our sisters, for our mothers, for our aunts, for our nieces, for our cousins, for even just kids that we mentor, that kids that see us in church, and all of the upcoming girls that are going to step into their own queendom. And they're going to have their own crown. We have to not only show them, but we have to be that by example. The way that we learn things is best by what we see and how people have depicted it to us, and the example that people have set forth even for us. And a lot of times we've seen our mothers do things because they had to, right? And we've seen coping skills because that's how we learn them. Coping is something that we learned. And sometimes our parents and our mothers didn't do it the right way because they were trained to have to put on their big girl panties, and they just did life. And not taking that moment to cease and do a self-check and a wellness check on themselves because they didn't have time to. They had to get their family to the next level. They had to step in and hurry and balance finances and get second jobs to support their family or support their homes, to support their children or their churches or their businesses. So sometimes we don't even have that time, but we have to. There is always time. Even no matter how small, there is time that we have to carve out and set aside. If we look at the map of our day, we all have the same 24 hours. And I'm sure there is a spot and a slot in our schedule that we can arrange and prioritize ourselves. And that we can start to put ourselves higher on the totem pole because so many people are depending on us. Remember, we are the heart. We have to make sure that we are pumping and our arteries aren't clogged with junk and distractions. We have to make sure that we're exercising so it's able to carry the weight of everything. We have to make sure that we take care of ourselves. So remember that self-care is more than nails, manicure, hair, makeup. It's more than all of those things. It goes deeper than that. Self-care is making sure that you do depression screenings. Self-care is making sure that you see a therapist. And it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with you. It's just making sure that you're okay. When we go to our PCP for our annuals, doesn't mean that anything is wrong. We just go for a checkup to make sure what? Everything is okay. It's the same thing that applies. If we start to think of our mental health the same way we think of our physical health, we'd be so much more ahead of the game. The same criteria applies. When we go in for annual mammograms, it's just a precaution to make sure that we're okay, right? These are preventative things. Making sure that we're okay, speaking to a counselor, getting a therapist, finding a support system, finding a church home, devoting time for prayer, devoting time for worship. All of these are part of self-care. And I mean self-care that is taking care of you on the inside, the internal components. And all of those things will exude and show on the outside. So when you do get your makeup done and you do get your hair done and you do get your nails done, it is going to exemplify already what's taking place on the inside. That's just an external. But what you're going to have on the internal, oh my God, it's going to not just look good, but it's going to feel good. And we all deserve to feel good. So ladies, I leave you with this. Please cast your cape. Show your wounds to your sister, show your wounds to your support system, show wounds to your other queens. Take time for you so that you can heal, you can gather your bearings, and that you can continue your course. And I know it's easy for things like this for us to just turn off our podcast, turn off our messages, and then go back to life, right? We all have gone to empowerment movements or women empowerment movements or even church services. And the word is so good, the message is so good, and we leave and we're empowered and we are ready to tackle on the world. But as soon as we leave, life hits us and we completely forgot of all the things that we did. And we get right back into motion, right? We get right back into that, all right, I gotta go, what's next, right? Because even now, as I am doing this video, I myself struggle with that as well. So again, remember I told you, I don't preach or teach or speak on anything that I have not yet walked through myself or currently walking through. So when I tell you that this is something that's going to make you be intentional about each and every step, I mean it. Because right now, as I'm speaking and I'm trying to pour into my other sisters and my other queens, I'm sitting here thinking about what I make for dinner. And I have to learn to let that go because this is my time. This is my time. And even if I don't have time to prepare a 3-course meal, then I will go and order something and do a takeout and grab something that's quick. The ultimate goal is that my family will eat. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that I have to be on my feet 18 hours a day to prepare it because they'll be fed either way. But those are just the things that we boggle with as women because we set those requirements in our head. And we desire to have home cooked meals and all of those things. But even if I don't get to have that home cooked meal, my kids will still eat, my husband will still eat. But right now, this is my time. So you have to be intentional, and you will get caught. And like I said, once this ends and once my message ends, you are so tempted to go back and to do life and do it the way you were doing it before. So what I am telling you is that you have to be intentional about this. This is not something that's going to be easy because we have been conditioned to do life like this for years. We have been living our life like this for years. So this is not something that you're going to resolve in just a 30 to 40 minute video or a 30 or 40 minute podcast of what I'm saying. This is something that you're going to have to jot down those bullet points. This is why I asked for us to write them down. Remember, you're going to have to write them down. Keep this in a place that you see every day, that you carry with, put it in something that you take with you every day, and something that you will have to look back several times every day, and maybe several times a day, until it's become second nature. It takes 21 times of us doing something for it to be a habit, for us to be reconditioned to now incorporate a new lifestyle. Remember, this is going to be a lifestyle change. Self-care is a lifestyle that we have to exude. So I hope you jotted down all the points. I hope after this message ends that this will be something that you truly incorporate into your day-to-day, and that even tomorrow you get to replay this and hear me over again. And then the next day and the next day. And for 21 days, I challenge you to listen to this message. I challenge you for 21 days to do the 4 C's that we spoke about. And take that time for yourself, because sister, you deserve it. You earned it. You've been through so much. And not even just talking about the things that we go through now, but even the things that we've gone through in our childhood, which is a whole nother series. We deserve it. We deserve to take time for us. We've earned it. And this is part of self-care. It's time to take care of you, because I'm glad that you're here. I need you here. I don't personally know you, but I am glad for your presence. I'm glad for your existence. And as long as you are on this earth, and as long as you are breathing, God has put a purpose here for you. And you can't accomplish that purpose, and you can't accomplish that mission not fully charged and ready. So he is going to need you at 100% so that you can accomplish the purpose that he has just for you, the assignment that only you can do, the mission that only you can carry out. I can't do it for you. Only you can do it. And I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you listened to this message in its entirety. And I'm so proud of you tomorrow when you listen to this again. So until next time, bye-bye.